Hey everybody, it's Phil at Drum Outfitters, and today we're going to do a project putting a new head on a drum. Now this is a snare drum, so I'm going to work with the snares off so that I can hear what I'm doing, because a big and important part of any drum, the most important part, is its sound. And so when you put a new head on, usually the reason is because you're going for either a different sound with a different head, or just a better sound because your old head is crusty, beat up, dented, whatever. Maybe cracked, has a hole in it. So let's put a new head on this drum. Step one, I already took the old head off, and that, I think you can figure that out. You take the tension rods all the way out, pull it off, and you're good to go. Don't lose any parts. So next thing is check to make sure that the drum is in a condition ready to put the new head on. What do I mean by that? Is there dust and dirt and gunk built up inside? You will find that dust gets in through the air hole and will collect inside the drum. So you might even take your drum, shake it upside down if you see stuff inside, or wipe it out with a lightly damp towel or something like that if there's any dirt and stuff inside there. Get it out, and then especially check this bearing edge, the edge of the rim. Make sure that it is clean. Make sure that it's not dented and banged up. If it is, you're going to have a hard time tuning your drum if it's dented. So let's bring it in and let's talk about what we can do to do a repair or just work with the situation to make it as good as we can. All right, so having done that, we're going to assume that the drum is nice and flat. If you're not sure that this bearing edge is flat, maybe you have a wooden drum and you're not sure if it's got some problem, you can flip it upside down, put it on a granite countertop or a piece of glass, shine a light into it and look under the edge to see if you can see any light. That would show you places where the edge is not hitting that flat surface. Having done all that, we have a nice flat drum, it's clean, we see that the edge is in good shape. Let's put the new head on. All right, so, new head. It doesn't matter where the logo goes, but it is a thing, so I like to put that thing to use if I can. So I put the logo right next to the strainer. That way there's, in my mind, when I'm playing, never a question, where is the strainer? If I'm sitting at the drum on a set and I need to quickly turn the snares on or off, I always know it's right by the logo. So that's why I put the logo by the strainer. It doesn't really make a difference, but it's useful information to me, so might as well use it. All right, now you've got the rim. I have already cleaned this, but what I will do is take a towel or a soft towel like a microfiber cloth and wipe the rim inside. You might take these tension rods off so that you can get a nice good clean wipe on it. That way you have a clean edge here just like inside the drum. You don't want that dust getting in there and causing problems with tuning it or with muffling the sound if you don't want it that way. So get it clean. And these are chrome, most of them. So if it's really grimy, you can actually get a nice little mild chrome cleaner polisher at your local auto parts store and clean that thing up, and it'll look shiny and new and in good shape, just like this one. So we're going to put the rim over the head, and we're going to have the tension rods line up with the lugs on the drum. Or you can just put the rim on and then add the tension rods in. That's okay. Now we're going to insert the tension rods into the lugs and make sure as you start to turn it that it's not tight. It should be a little bit easy to turn. So just with fingers, a little bit of turning. What I have done with these already, sorry for not showing you this, I put just a tiny bit of white lithium grease on the very, just the bottom, just the tip, on the very bottom threads. And that way it just makes it easy to start, easy to turn. So you get that in there and just turn it a little bit. You don't want to put them all the way down and start applying tension yet at this point. Just get them started. Just like that. If it catches and doesn't want to turn it backwards and feel with your fingers until you can feel the edge of the thread where the thread actually starts. You'll feel it sort of click when it gets past the beginning of the threads in the lug. Then you know it's lined up and ready to go in. So once they're all started, then working in pairs across each other from the drum, just with your fingers, I'm grabbing the tension rod itself instead of from the top, and I'm just spinning it between my two fingers just until I get it down to the rim, and that's as far as I can go with my fingers. I do these two, then this is an 8-lug drum, so I will go across in a cross pattern and do these two. Now I'm going to go and do the same thing with the other 4. Do 2 at a time. Just until they're both finger tight. If one gets done first, then just stop with that one and finish the other one. Okay, now why did we do that? Now I'm going to go around just finger tightening all of them. Why did we do it in pairs? Because if I just do this side first and then work my way around, it's going to pull the head to that side of the drum and it will be unevenly tensioned on the drum. It will be hard to tune and hard to work with. So if you pull down both sides evenly across from each other, then it's going to help it tune up more easily when you're done. All right, next is to actually bring more tension into the head because it's loose at this point. It's still floppy loose. If you feel around the drum and sense any spots that feel wrinkly, see if you can give it just a little more tension there. Because we want to get it to the point where there's no wrinkly feel in the head. So I'm going to take my drum key and give basically a half turn to each lug. And that way I'm evenly stretching the head. It's still very loose. It's not ready to play yet. But I don't want to do all one side and then try to go over and work the other side. You want to work back and forth across the drum. So let's do that some more. Half turn, half turn, half turn, half turn. Half turn, half turn, half turn. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. We have a little bit of a vibration tension on the head. Okay, at this point, this is where you really start to work with your ears. Now, that's still very soft and very low. I tap with my finger, or you can use a stick, about an inch in from the edge of the drum by each lug. And listen for the pitch of the head. If it's lower pitched, that lug is looser than the others. So I, in my head, actually kind of sing along when I hear the pitch, and that helps me realize, and do I have to sing higher or lower to match the pitch? That tells me that lug is higher or lower. These are fairly close, so I'm going to go another round of doing a half turn on each lug. Let's see what we have. So I'm actually hearing the lugs go bong, 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 bong. And it tells me that these two are lower pitched than these two. I should say 4. Usually you will find when one lug is a little bit lower in tension, the same is true of the lug directly across the drum. So pay attention to that. Not always, but usually you're going to want to tension that one and the one across from it. But now that we're getting close, I'm only going to turn maybe a quarter turn at a time. Then you want to apply a little pressure in the middle of the head and help the head seat in the drum. You might hear some crackling sound when you do that. That's okay. What that is there may be glue in the joint, the rim that's around the edge of the head. And if it's never been seated on a drum and stretched, some of that glue that might be a little bit loose or whatever that's dry, it may crackle a little bit, but that's okay. Don't worry about that sound. But stretch it a little bit. You don't have to lay your whole body into it, but almost like giving CPR, right in the center of the head to help stretch and seat the head evenly around the drum. Let's try this again. So now it looks like these 4 are just a tiny bit low. Again, about a quarter turn, maybe even less. They're sounding very good now. And once you get used to doing this, you will hear that main tone of the drum, but you will also hear, if you listen closely, a layer of overtones, a softer pitch, but a little bit higher than the main tone of the drum. If you get the main tone pretty solid all across the drum, those little overtones, that's the fine tuning. If you can get those equal as well, you're going to be really in good shape. So let's move on to testing it with a stick. If you have a stick or a mallet that's got a mallet end on it, that's really helpful to do it because then you're not hearing so much of the attack, just the tone that comes out of the head. And if you really want to check each lug individually, it's tricky because when you hit here, it's making the whole head vibrate. A trick is put your finger right smack dab in the center of the drum. Look across at the lugs. If it's on all of those lines, it is right in the middle of the drum. That means when I hit here, I've created another node, so I'm basically only hearing the vibration, or mostly, between this lug and the center of the drum. So, listening to the whole drum, again, I'm hitting about 1 inch in from the lug. Just a tiny bit low on this one. I'm only going to do about 1/8 of a turn. And then I press again just to even out the tension. And let's see what we have. These two are just a tiny bit low. That's actually sounding pretty good. Now, the pitch of this drum right now may be a little bit lower than I want. This is where we know we have all of the tuning even, and now we go for the actual pitch that we want the drum to be. So, that might be a little bit low for a 5-inch snare drum, 5.5-inch snare drum. So, I'm going to turn every one of them, but I want to turn them all the same amount, so that they stay in equal relative pitch to each other. So I'm going to do about a quarter turn to each lug. And again, I'm working in cross patterns. to keep that tension even across the drum. Still in tune with itself. It's getting pretty close. I'm going to do another quarter turn. Tiny bit. That's starting to sound like a snare drum. Let's turn the snares on and see what we think. Sounds like a snare drum. I'm going to actually tighten the snares a little bit more. See what we get. There you go. Later on, we'll talk about muffling and other things to maybe get more ring out of it, or different things like that. But that's the way I tune up a drum head. Have fun and make your drums sound musical. All right, find your happy groove. Bye.